Miss Hema, you're muted.
Pepe, hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Never mind.
Oh, okay, let me try. Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first volunteer meet and greet for Project BacaBaca. Thank you ever so much for being here on a Sunday morning. I know it's a big ask, but this seems to be a common time for everyone. And thank you to almost everyone who RSVP'd, who's here in person, as well as who's joining us online. There's several people who RSVP'd and said that they can't, and they will be watching the recording later on. So thank you again to everyone. My name is Hema. I am the project leader for Project BacaBaca. I'm also a lecturer here at the School of Education, Taylor's University. Just a bit of background to Project BacaBaca. This all started, I think, from 2 years back when the pandemic hit us. And we participated in a project organized by UNDP Malaysia on finding out the experiences of young people from the vulnerable populations and how they were experiencing the disruption in their schooling, how they were experiencing pandemic. So during our interviews, listening to the stories of these young people, we found out that the thing that they were struggling most was of course, the learning during pandemic with limited gadgets, with limited internet connection, or even if they have connection, even if they have the gadgets, but they weren't able to really understand what's going on in the online classes. So that got Dr. Logan and I talking, and we usually have many crazy ideas. One of that was starting on Project BacaBaca, which we started last year, to provide reading sessions to children who are experiencing poverty, children who are not reading at grade level at the moment. And as we know, when a child is not reading at grade level, then the child wouldn't be able to cope with all the other school subjects, and that just gets them behind further and further. And the way the school system works is that at the end of the year, academic year, you just move up the grade, move up one grade, right? Without even if the child is not really performing at grade level. So we started pretty small last year with 30 children from one PPR low-cost flat in Kuala Lumpur, in Cheras, with 30 volunteers. all the volunteers last year were from Taylor's College and Taylor's University. And then we decided to be crazier and go big. And so this year, we plan to get 100 children and 100 volunteers. Getting 100 children to participate in this project wasn't a difficult task because, as you know, there are many children who need our support. There are many children who are struggling. They were struggling even before the pandemic. They're struggling further during the pandemic. Getting the volunteers, though, however, we thought it was going to be a difficult task. In fact, I think we probably didn't expect to get 100 volunteers. We posted out, I think, the call for volunteers maybe just before Chinese New Year, right? So a week before Chinese New Year. And within 3 weeks, we got an overwhelming response from people all over Malaysia, really. In fact, we got almost 100 and close to 170 people who signed up to be volunteers. And none of us expected this. And we have people coming together from all walks of life. We have school students, secondary school students. We have college students, university students, Taylor's University students. We have teachers. We have lawyers. We have doctors. We have people who work in marketing, in oil and gas industry. Everyone coming together. We have husband and wife volunteering. We have mother and daughter, cousins. And I am personally overwhelmed with this response, which I never expected. And I think amid all the race and religion stories, religious-based stories that we watch and we read on our social media postings, this is a good example of how Malaysians always come together when there is something that matters the most. And this is the Malaysia that I know and I love, where we always come together. No questions about ethnicity. Nobody asked, am I going to teach a Malay kid or an Indian kid? Who am I teaching? Now we see there are children struggling. They need our help. We're going to help them, right? And so again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you ever so much to everyone who has signed up to be volunteers for Projek BacaBaca. Without you guys, I mean, this project will not kick off, right? So your commitment, your time, your passion for Projek BacaBaca is what makes us continue doing what we do. I would also like to thank our funders. Without them, this project will also not really kick off. So big thanks to Masing Foundation, who's sponsoring us. They sponsored us last year, and thank you so much for your belief in this project. I don't know if Amelia is here. If she is, thank you so much. Thanks to Masing Foundation. Thank you so much to also Twinkle for giving us free membership to access their materials, excellent materials that they have. So thank you, Pepe and Alex, for your support in this. And thank you to also Roadtrack, Taylor's University, for bringing us the volunteers together. So thank you ever so much, everyone. And of course, to all of you beautiful people who are here in front of me, as well as for joining us online. Thank you. Now we're going to go and watch. So we've got a remarks from our Executive Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences and Leisure Management, who's always been a pillar of strength and support for the projects that we do at School of Education. So let's, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us today, so he sent us a recorded speech. So let's just watch that first.
Welcome to all the reading coaches of Projek BacaBaca. It is indeed a pleasure meeting all of you today. Thank you for having volunteered to be reading coaches. Projek BacaBaca is an excellent initiative by the School of Education at Taylor's University to get children from disadvantaged homes to read at grade level. COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all our lives immensely. The extent of loss of learning remains uncertain at the moment as the nation still grapples with the different variants and intermittent school closures as a result of that. The first UNICEF report entitled Averting a Lost COVID Generation comprehensively outlined the dire and growing consequences for children as the pandemic drags on and the longer-term impact on the education, nutrition, and well-being of an entire generation of children and young people, which can be life-altering. This situation is more prevalent among children from less privileged backgrounds. As such, when Projek BacaBaca was proposed, the faculty gave full support as this project deals with a crucial aspect of education, which is reading. Reading is a gateway to learning. When children are not able to read at grade level, they are unable to cope with all other school subjects and instructions. This will curb their educational aspirations and in extreme cases, lead to them dropping out of school. Taylor's University has always been a key player in addressing local and global challenges that face our society today. We not only focus on academic achievements, but place equal importance on students broadening their horizon through various social engagement. We are happy to note that almost 70% of reading coaches who are here today are Taylor's students. This is very much in line with Taylor's agenda of Learning 2030, where we want to develop students with purpose-led, impact-driven initiative so that they can influence people, events, and circumstances around them for the better world. Projek BacaBaca is an example of how we can make changes to our community. Once again, thank you to all the reading coaches who are volunteering their time and resources for this project. Together, we can transform the lives of children through quality education, one child at a time. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to introduce the man behind the scene, Dr. Logendra Poneya, who is our head of the School of Education. Over to you, Dr. Logan.
Okay. I hope I'm not scaring all of you all with my mask. First of all, I'd like to request for those of us who are following with Zoom to turn on your camera, because you'll never know. At least I'm trying to look out for my friends' faces to see whether they have joined today's session. Number two, you may actually bump into people that you are familiar with. So it's an opportunity for everyone to engage. Hi, Fatima, thanks. I'm still looking out for some of my friends who promised to join today. So I have to take attendance. Okay. Now, anyway, Projek BacaBaca was an initiative came through one of our coffee sessions. So who says idle coffee drinking is not useful? So when me and Hema, because one of the things that we came up discussing was the lack of internet bandwidth. So that's how the conversation started. How do we work with kids who live in the Wi-Fi dead spots or digital dead spots? So we realized that even using an old Nokia handphone, as long as you have the right handphone package, if you have the right handphone package, you could literally call someone and teach them how to read, as long as we had similar reading text. So that's how the idea started, and then it blossomed into what it was. Now, although the word BacaBaca was just more of a branding issue, but I hope all of you pay attention to the subtext, which is learning to read, reading to learn. And that is the real reason why we all are here. Because learning to read is just half the stage. The rest of the stage was then subsequently reading to learn, because the whole idea you learn to read is so that you can read to learn. And I really hope that those of you who are volunteering to be very mindful of the subtext. It came with lots of discussion about how do we push this project and what is the real philosophy and intention behind the project, is to literally create self-learning students, right? And Malaysian students have a disadvantage in the sense that if you are not in a position to attend decent kindergarten, you will lose out forever. Just imagine, right? A child who was born in a certain circumstances, couldn't afford early childhood education, couldn't afford kindergarten, goes to standard 1. Are you aware that the standard 1 curriculum presupposes that you can read? Because the standard 1 teacher is not going to teach you how to read. The standard 1 teacher hopes that all her or his students have attended decent kindergartens and have acquired the necessary competency. And she starts with sentence building, grammar, spelling, so on and so forth. And once a kid starts at the back of the class, that's destiny of the child is sealed. Because once year 1 you go to school, you are disadvantaged. The teacher said, "Duduk belakang," because you are disruptive, you can't follow. And that's the end, literally. If you follow statistical analysis of students who are in the last class from year 1, seldom, there's no statistical significance. I'm talking about statistical significance. I'm talking about 80% rule, right? For social science. You will never find students who starts off year 1 at the end of the class or last class, ever escalating up higher. Once you are destined to be the last child in the last class, most likely that's where you end. So learning to read early is a significant measure of your success in life. In fact, we were brainstorming and hoping to do some work with some economists. If you can read by grade, at least in the World Bank context, is 10 years old, right? If you can read by grade by year 10, the chances are you are giving a gift of several $1 million. This is how we came up with the number several $1 million. If you take Malaysia as a context, the average person earns about $5,000 if you are a decent graduate. Learning to read by par puts you in a position where you will literally pass every exam subsequently. And not being able to read by par at a par level of year 3, that means by standard 3, you can't read standard 3 level of reading. There's a good chance you are one of those targeted to drop out. Can you imagine your destiny for the rest of your life is predicted by the time you're 10 years old, where you're going to be. So Project BacaBaca is one of those projects that with all your help, although we are only talking about 100-odd students, at least these 100-odd students, destiny will be changed. You are in the process of changing destiny. The other thing my advice is, especially for many of you wonderful volunteers, is to be aware of many factors that factor in students. For example, economic factors, sociological factors, psychological factors. Let me give you an example. We have worked many projects Hema has done for the school, and poverty works in a very funny way. There is something called cognitive affordance. It's a sociological term that usually poor people have very little of. They are so tired and overwhelmed that they have not much energy left to think about things. So imagine a father and mother who's working 12-hour shifts. The father could be a security guard. The mother works as a cleaner in 2 houses and both putting about 12-hour shifts. When they come in, they are not in a position to help their child with their homework. They are overwhelmed with life. So that's when people like yourself come in. You are filling in the gap which society has bestowed upon them in a very cruel way. Poor people pay double the price for everything. They work harder for longer hours for lesser pay. Everything in life costs twice. Because you don't have the opportunity to buying retail in a wholesale shop. You buy everything in small stores where everything costs money. So please be aware. You are coming in, most of you all are professionals. You are coming in with a middle-class mind frame. The students that you are working with don't have that luxury. So please, I beg upon you to be considerate. And be mindful that you're not teaching. Reading is a vehicle. You're actually teaching the child. So you must be very sensitive to the child's need, the child's ability, the child's psychological framework, the child's family dynamics. You may have a helicopter mom standing in front of the child, and she doesn't want to get embarrassed. She'll be just staring down the child. So when you are engaging the child over the phone, you can, if you can sense the child is uncomfortable, maybe reading is not your first priority for the day's lesson. Talking to the child, getting the child comfortable, engaging with you is the first thing. Many of you all speak very fluent English, and the kids may not be in the situation. You may be the first person that they are actually meeting that speaks English fluently, and that could be intimidating to many kids. So how do you then simplify your language, communicate in an approachable manner? Remember, winning the child's confidence is the first lesson plan. No point doing anything else if you have not won the child's confidence, right? So approach the learning from a child-centered point of view. That means what the child needs for today. I know Hema and her volunteers will brief you about the sequence of reading, the complexity of the text, the benchmarks, the assessment. Those are very important. Otherwise, this is just a hobby, right? It's not a hobby. This is a serious program. But you have to be aware that before you start the journey, you and the child are in the same car. Because you can be driving a Ferrari, the child is waiting outside. It's not as simple as open the door, get the child in, and then zoom to your destination. It's not going to work that way. Especially with our kids who have experienced a lifelong of failure. Remember, if you have a kid volunteering with you who's 10 years old and can't read by pa, you know how embarrassed the child would have felt that a random person calling me to teach me how to read a standard 1 book, and I'm standard 3. So talking to the child, gaining the child's confidence. Many of you are bilingual, using whatever language for the beginning to bring the child on board. The child must be convinced and have trust in you that you are going to be there for the child for the whole duration of the year. I mean, I think the agreement is about 10 months, right? Most of you all volunteered. So for the next 10 months, 8 months, for the next 8 months, that you're going to go through this journey with this child. And you are the surrogate mom, sister, brother, father figure to bring this child along. So I really hope that you are aware the role that you're playing and be sensitive to the child's needs. Because remember, in Malaysia is now very sensitive. Culture and history and language all suddenly has become very highlighted. So being aware of all this is very important. So you must be sensitive to people and culture. So the 3 things I want you to remember before I part my way with you today is to be sensitive to people and culture, be sensitive to the middle class expectation. Many of you are teachers. Some of you are teachers in international school. Can you imagine the joke that I used to make with everyone is Malaysia has a standard English curriculum. Whether you're a child from Bangsa or a child from Broga, which many of you don't even know where Broga is only 100 kilometers away from Bangsa, have so much a different expectation. So where do you park your expectation knowing the context of your child? So because we have selected students from the lower demographic profile, so you must be very sensitive to where your student is at. At the same time, don't go overboard to the point where you feel that you're working with some, I don't know what's the word, it suddenly drives me out. But just be sensitive to the kids' needs. So that's the one. The next one is middle class mentality. The third one, focus on the child before focusing on the content. I'm not saying that the intention of reading is going to be sidelined. It's not about feel good where we talk, chat, and move on. But you need to win the child's confidence first before we move forward with the reading. Okay, with that, I hope you have any questions. Please enter in your chat box. And those of you are face-to-face later, I think we'll have a Q&A session. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Please keep your cameras on so we know who we are talking to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Logan, for that. I would also like to introduce Tarani, who is our project officer, the person behind all the emails that you've been getting.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Ms. Hema, for this opportunity. I feel really humbled to be part of this. But if I have to share something very quickly to everyone's here, I had to personally call 100 parents who are in the Bagi 40 communities. I had to call each and every one of them after 6 o'clock to get their concerns, to get their child participate in this. It was exhausting. As you know, the max I could talk to a parent, like maybe 50 parents per day. But after each and every call, I had to take a break to just, observe everything that the parents have shared with me, how grateful they are that we are doing this. And some parents just like talk to me for a good 15 minutes, tell me everything that's wrong with their child and their life, how they are unable to move forward. They feel embarrassed that when the child, speak to them in a different language that's not their native language, and how they're unable to, engage in a conversation with the child. That really, really, strike a chord in me. So I just want to say a very, very, very big thank you to every volunteer that's here. You guys are here to do a very, very, very big thing in a child's life. So thank you and good luck to us. I hope we have a very smooth flow for the next 8 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarani. So we are amongst the few of us, I think we spoke to every volunteer to find out a little bit about yourselves. And Tarani has been speaking to all the 100 parents whose children are participating in this project. And they are committed. I know that some parents have even decided to go and buy data packages so that their child could have some online sessions with you guys, and that's a big thing when they're struggling financially for them to invest in this. So that's how much invested they are in their child's education, but they need support, and that's where we come in to provide a little bit of support for them. So thank you, Tarani. Without Tarani, I think this project will be quite a bit mess as well. So thank you so much. And thank you to all my volunteers here as well. You guys are amazing. Publicity team, thank you. And now we would like to hear from our volunteers who participated in this project last year, and they are continuing this year too. So let's, do you want to change? So let's start with Geetanjali. She's online joining us.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hang on, Geeta. Let's just increase the volume for a bit. Try now again, Geeta, please.
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So can I start?
I can hear it in the Zoom, yes.
In Zoom, but we will not hear it here. 1 second, Geetanjali.
Try again.
Hello.
Yeah, all yours now.
Hey, so hello everybody. As you can see, I am a Bachelor of Psychology major. I am Geetanjali. I am a last year psych major in Taylor's. And I'm going to share my experience of Project BacaBaca. So I was actually asked to be a volunteer by one of my friends who introduced me to Project BacaBaca. I had no idea it existed. She is a education major, and when she talked to me about it, I was like, this sounds a little bit interesting. Maybe I can try. So I signed up for it, and it was probably the most fulfilling experience I've ever had. I had done teaching before. I teach in different places, and this was a one-to-one thing. So it's a little bit different, but I feel like I did form a relationship with the kid that I was teaching. And he was really shy at first. So he was really shy, really reserved, but he was absolutely adorable. So I had to try and help him. I felt really, I can say I felt quite bad that he was struggling, and I wanted to do everything I could to help him with anything I could at that point. So after a few classes, he became more friendly with me, and we started talking about other things like what he did over the week, and how was his weekend. And my classes were like on Saturday and Sunday, so the weekend before, like how was his day, all of those kind of things. I tried to get him to talk about other things, and then I would teach him, because it was really important to me to form a connection with this kid. So he had a lot of difficulties, but when he realized that I was trying to help him, he also changed. I could see a change after a few weeks. The main challenge, of course, was to try and get him to do his homework. It is really hard to get children to do their homework, but as a child, I also didn't do my homework. But I managed to convince him that it's really, really important to finish his homework, and it would help him progress and all. I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity, and Miss Hema and everybody in charge. You guys are amazing. I know that I may not be making a huge difference in the world, but I feel like I may be making a difference in this kid's life. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Geeta. Actually, you are making a big change in the world. I think we're not superheroes. We can't go and immediately make a change in the whole world. But by making a change, in one person's life, in one child's life, we are making a change in the world. So thank you so much, Geeta, and thank you for coming back to volunteer this year too. So thank you so much. Next, we have Imisha.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? So, hi, everyone. My name is Aisha Kaur. I've been a volunteer for Phase 1 at Project BacaBaca. And first off, I got to say it was a tremendous and a fantastic experience being able to be part of this project. It has been wonderful to watch how my support and our support as a team of 30 volunteers has increased a child's ability to read, and also increase a child's confidence to read out loud to strangers that they just met. And for me personally, it has been a fantastic learning experience for me in terms of how to educate and make learning fun. The most interesting part for me was learning how to break down those material given to us into a very understandable manner, because every child has a different pace of learning, and they can't just read one whole text at a time. So you need to be able to understand on how to understand the kids' learning pace and also adapt to it. I guess I wanted to make a difference in a kid's life and help them read. Just basically giving them a start somewhere, and this is like a start for them, and also to promote motivation and encouragement for the kids to read out loud. I realized that I'm not only making a difference to one kid's life, but us as 30 or 100 volunteers is making a change to many of these kids in the community. The mentorship, the companionship, and also the one-on-one attention we give to these kids is something that they will not have had otherwise. So it takes time for, it takes time for the student to adjust to you, but that is something we learn throughout the whole volunteering experiences. It took me about 3 weeks to make sure my kids started talking to me, because the most you get the first few weeks is yes or no. Then they'll start engaging with you, they start sharing stories with you, which, you learn how to talk to them really well. So with that being said, I realized that building self-awareness, having the tiniest knowledge, and also the ability to teach is very crucial, and also an ethical necessity to offer true reflection for students, to make sure the student perform and progress really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Emisha. Emisha is also volunteering with us this year, coming back as a volunteer. And next we have Sohana. Thank you, Sohana.
Talking about my experience whenever we speak about program BacaBaca has always been the most fulfilling experience in my life. Same as Gitanjali, actually, I did not know this program existed until one of the education, she was doing a degree here, and she told me, she's like, oh, this program BacaBaca like is coming up, and I know you love kids, so like, why don't you try it out? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I love kids and I'll try it out any day. And let me tell you, it took me 6 weeks to get my child to say one word on the lesson plan. It took me 6 weeks. And prior to that, the mom had actually told me that, I don't know how you're going to do this. I don't know what you're going to do, but this child doesn't speak at all. And I was wondering, I was like, okay, maybe the child is shy, that's why like the child is not speaking or something. And, but this child did not know how to read a word in BM, neither in English, nothing. And he was in year 3. He did not know a word. And I think at that point, I always tell this to myself that I'm the most privileged to even be receiving education in any sense. I'm like, I tell this all the time, and I remind people around me that we are so privileged as people that we are able to receive that kind of education, whether it was in a government school, whether now it's in a private university. And these kids are probably, sitting down on the other side of the world and wondering like, when am I going to get that opportunity, or when am I going to be allowed to like sit at the same place and make a difference to the world? And each week I was losing hope. After the 6th week, I was like, oh, I don't think I can teach this kid because it doesn't even know a word. And I don't want that at the end, this experience for him becomes even more traumatizing, that this child has not even learned a word, but the friends, in the PPR, all of them have learned something. But on the 7th week, when I went to class and I was talking to him and I was like, oh, how's your day? And he told me that I want to read something. So I was like, okay, sure. And he read a whole lesson plan by himself, without guidance, without one word being like, said wrongly. He did it all by himself. And I remember that was the day I went up to my mom and I said that, thank you for giving me that sort of education, because tomorrow I am teaching a kid that's going to help the world. And I always tell Miss Hema this, that the children that we're building today, they are going to help 100 other kids tomorrow. And with that hope that they are going to be the future of Malaysia, they're going to be the youth of tomorrow. They're going to, come and tell us that, hey, I have built my life because of what you taught me 10 years back or 20 years back. And tomorrow, I am going to, in that sense, teach another child that nothing is impossible. And the only thing we need is volunteers that have, enough self-awareness, enough, respect, enough love for these kids to tell them that it's okay, I'm here to teach you. So whenever I talk about my experience about program Baca Baca, and I talk about like my kid, I remember on the last final exam, when we had our final exam with the kid, he did it at a stall where his mom sells sweets to get daily money for the family. And he was sitting down there and he was doing his final exam. And I remember he did his final exam so amazingly. I was pretty shocked. I was like, oh my God, are you like cheating or something? And the mother told me after that, she said, I don't know how you got him to learn. I don't know how you got him to speak up, but I only know that as long as you are there next year, I want him to continue, because I think this has been the greatest experience for him. And he has changed so much as a person. Being 9 and not knowing how to speak one word, and then you come to this end of like 8 months and you realize that you can really change a child's life by just having that sort of patience with that child and telling them that, it's okay, I'm here to teach you. So to all the volunteers today, whether you're in Zoom or whether you're here, I just want to tell you that you are in for an amazing, amazing experience. You're in for a treat. And I want you to know that when you come out after 10 months and you see your kid doing so well, you're going to realize that you have shaped a child's future. You have shaped tomorrow's Malaysia, and you have shaped how Malaysia is actually supposed to be with the youths. They're going to be the youth of tomorrow. They're going to be, the child of Malaysia. And tomorrow when they go up and become this amazing person, they're always going to remember who taught them, 10 years back, and it's going to be you. So I hope that with that love, with that light, and with that honest willingness to teach, you are here to tell all of these people that education is to be shared, and I'm sharing my education with you. So thank you, and thank you, Ms. Hema, for being so amazing and for allowing us to always, always, always remember that we are privileged and we're supposed to always share what we have with people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sohana. We're just going to show a short video that we have about Project Baca Baca that we shot last year, end of last year, after the end of phase 1 of Project Baca Baca. And here we interviewed some of the parents and children, and you can watch for yourself what they say about being able to read and the joy that they felt after being able to read.
children who are unable to read a simple text and understand a simple text by the time they are 10 years old. This is relatively a new term which has been introduced by World Bank recently, I think in about 2017, 2018. In 2019, there's the statistics that 13% of children in Malaysia are not reading proficiently by the time that they are in their late primary school.
Education is generally a much bigger, broader dimension, and literally sits inside. But the reason why education and literacy needs to pay attention to each other is because if you don't have decent literacy skill, then education will be hampered. You are not able to cope with a large body of knowledge in a meaningful way.
There are two groups of children. One is schooling deprived. So they are children of school-going age, but they're not in school for various reasons. So they've dropped out of school, they've never been enrolled in school. This includes Malaysian children, migrant children, refugee children, indigenous children, children from pockets of poverty. And then there is also this other group of children, which is deeply concerning, learning deprived. So they are in school, yet they're not learning. They're not reading at grade level.
We have a literacy rate of 92%. That means 92% of the average Malaysian can read. When Linus exam was conducted in 2013 as part of the Malaysian National Education Blueprint, almost 40% of children in Selangor were not able to read adequately in year 1. I think the girls were doing better. The inadequacy from the female side was about 25%, and from the guys it was about 37 to 40%. So collectively there was about 40% of students who were not able to cope in reading and writing well. So if you can't read and write adequately at the adequate stages, then coping with other body of knowledge like geography or history or even English, even maths and science will be a challenge, because it's not that you don't have the ability to do maths and science, you don't have the ability to read and comprehend what you're reading.
Kalau belajar online ni, dia macam lain tersangkut-sangkut. Okey, contoh, kalau kita dalam Zoom, lepas tu tiba-tiba kita keluar dalam kelas.
Boleh belajar di rumah tapi ada masalah internet atau handphone tak boleh guna.
So saya susah nak fokus. Bila tak ada bahan-bahan pelajaran, pusat internet tutup, kita tak ada printer. So kat situ memang terhad lah.
Bila belajar online tu, pada mulanya budak-budak tu excited. Pada mulanya. Bila dah masuk minggu kedua dah bosan.
Agak susah jugalah sebab diorang macam tak berapa nak faham apa yang cikgu ajar melalui itu sebab bising kan. Terlalu ramai, so diorang macam tak boleh nak fokus langsung lah.
Saya pun nak ajar pun, dah lama tak sekolah. Lagi mengasuh lagi kan. Memang tak ada masa lah.
One of the challenges we face is, if you take teaching of English, the government has one standard curriculum, our Malaysian standard curriculum. If you were to teach English in Broga and Negeri Sembilan, it's going to be so much different and complex than teaching English in Bangsa KL. But the book is the same, the content is the same. Although there could be, we are using the common European framework to teach English, so there's quality, or at least an established quality that many countries consider this as a benchmark or gold standard of English. So the curriculum is good, but equity is questionable because of the ability to cope. So that is why this project is important, because it brings those who are disadvantaged to par with those who are advantaged. One of the new paradigm that we can hope is education for greater equity is using technology. Technology gives us the opportunity to self-educate. So with lots of new innovation in artificial intelligence, digital technology, streaming content, it can accommodate or fill in to a certain extent the gap where the rural and urban divide that naturally divides us. However, the curriculum still needs to accommodate weaker students differently than and more privileged students.
This project started this year in April this year as a way to address learning poverty in Malaysia. Because of pandemic, I mean, this issue has been in existence even before pandemic, but of course with the pandemic, what it has done is that it has exacerbated the situation with many more children dropping out, like the recent statistics showing around 21,000 children have dropped out. So we started this project to target children from pockets of poverty to support them in their reading, to get them to read at grade level. For this year, we started with 30 children living in PPR Seri Alam, where we assign one reading coach to one child to work for the duration of 6 months. And we keep these reading sessions short, 30 minutes. Our volunteers or reading coaches, as we call them, will phone the child and they will read together. We have 2 reading sessions per week, one for Bahasa Melayu and the other for English.
Saya cakap dengan anak, okey, benda ni penting lah. Dia tak pergi sekolah, so tak ada guide dari cikgu.
Bila dia belajar tak sampai setahun, lepas tu tutup sekolah. Masuk tahun kedua, memang sudah tertinggal untuk mata pelajaran, untuk bacaan, terutamanya bahasa Inggeris, bahasa Malaysia, memang tertinggal. So, bila ada program yang macam ni, sangat bagus sebab mereka dapat membaca dan dapat fokus dengan pembelajaran yang macam ni, cikgunya one by one. Biasanya kalau sekolah PDR tu, dia Zoom meeting, ramai. So, ramai dia tak fokus lah.
Tak expect dia boleh membaca dengan cepat bila belajar cara macam ni lah.
So I think Miss Hema in so many ways has taught us, whether it is us reading to the kids, whether it's doing lesson plans, whether it's understanding on a deeper level how cognitively kids work and what can be done to help the kids.
So I've learned how we could always cater our learning to students. For example, Amar, he draws a lot. And I've always given him drawing as homework, or I've given drawing in every single reading lessons in which he uses. And I've always tried my best to incorporate this because this is where he's able to express himself in a different and creative way. And also in classroom management, Amar's always been quiet, but there were some moments where he became vocal towards the end, and which I truly admired because he opened up and there were so many things he said that really, really inspired me. For instance, he was talking about how he loves celebrating his birthday and he loves when gifts are wrapped in red or blue because those were his favorite colors. I've learned so much from him and I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't learn strategies on how I could do this. It always felt impossible to talk to a child. It felt impossible, but then I managed to talk to him because I've understood that what he wanted is to just have a good person who's helping him learn. And I've used all of these techniques and like even learning styles, like behaviorist learning style, constructivist learning styles. There were so many elements that goes into teaching. And I had the privilege to actually play around and see which one fits him best. And I am happy to say that he's doing well and good, yeah.
Saya seronok belajar dengan teacher ni sebab saya faham. Saya boleh cakap dengan orang English. Kalau kita jumpa sembang-sembang, boleh cakap bahasa Inggeris.
Projek ini seronok sebabkan teacher baik, saya boleh belajar lebih fokus.
The process of transferring knowledge isn't about me saying A and he just repeats what I say. That's just repetition, but it's never learning and it's never understanding. So I've learned from him is to be vocal, express yourself if you have anything he has to say, and communication is key.
So what I've learned from this whole experience and what I can apply in my career next time is whenever I encounter people from outside people, the first thing I have to do is be in their shoes, understand them, where they're coming from.
Personally, I feel like I've learned a lot of patience. Patience in terms of trying to understand your kids, trying to understand what they want, what do they expect out of this project.
I'm really happy to see where the project has come. So many improvements, so much of good feedbacks from the parents, from the volunteers. So it's really very rewarding to all of us. All credit goes to Miss Hema for guiding all of us. Not only me, she has guided all our volunteers as well. So we are really grateful for her. I hope like more parents would actually encourage their children to join in this project. We would really like to bring this project to a higher stage because it really impacts.
So that was last year, towards the end of last year. So last year we did this project, as I said, with 30 children from PPR Seri Alam in Cheras. And for this year, we have children from the same PPR Seri Alam. We also have children participating from Klang. We have children from Banting. We have children from New Village in Sungai Way, and also a group of children from Kota Balot, Sabah. We're now in the process of matching all of you to the children, and we will, of course, share the details with you all as soon as possible. Now, I'd like to open up for any questions that you may have at this stage from the volunteers. You may unmute and ask or type it in the chat box, or if you're here, if you have any questions. Or just to comment, even if you don't have a question. Then just say something.
Check. Yes. Okay, I just want to use this opportunity to say how fascinating this program is. I sat here watching the video and I got goosebumps because I remember what Dr. Logan said, and it is so imperative that learning to read is reading to learn. And it breaks your heart to know that we're in the 21st century and there are so many children who are unable to read, and that poverty is such an integral part of the dynamic of why they get left behind. And so it is so imperative that even if we help one child, it makes so much of a difference for their future, because after all, the future belongs to them. And so I want to use this opportunity to thank you for this project, and that I was invited to be a part of it. And I would love to be a part of it for as long as it lasts. And hopefully, even when we are gone, that the project continues. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. Do we have any questions in the chat box? No?
No question per se, but a lot of people say they feel inspired to be part of this journey.
Maybe we'll start with, let's start with Pepe first.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Tarani and Hema, and everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for this very enlightening session, and thanks for having me here. So for everyone, I'm Pepe. I'm actually the country manager for Twinkle. And of course, we are part of this program trying to help children to read. If you don't already know Twinkle, we are a digital educational platform providing educational materials to people all over the world. We are the biggest current provider in the world. And before I start, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who read our newsletter and responded. I know many of you have responded. Many of you have read the newsletter and responded to that. So thank you. I am so grateful. I was really touched to see how responsive you guys were. And of course, everyone here matters. And I think, of course, Hema, Tarani, and everyone else, you're doing such a great job providing this assistance, organizing this program to all these kids. I really think, you know, being part of the education industry, I have been with the education industry for many years, and we live in volatile times. Malaysia, well, we know that Malaysia currently is, you know, not really progressing in some aspects, and being an educator gives us this great influence to impact people's life for the good. You know, teachers, parents, volunteers like us, you know, you have no idea the life that you can change. And like the one of you mentioned just now, you're not just changing one life, you're helping one child read. And this one child will grow up and will go on to impact other lives. So it's the ripple effect. So everything that we're doing here is, you know, it's really, I would say, very noble. You know, thank you so much for dedicating your time. Just really do your best. And together, I think we will be able to at least make a change in their lives and in our lives, and maybe impact Malaysia's future as well. So thank you once again. And I'm also a volunteer for the first time. I'm really looking forward to this. And I hope that we will all benefit from this, not just personally, but just benefit, you know, grow from it, learn from the experiences of others. You know, it will be so enriching for our lives, and it would definitely help towards the harmony and unity of our nation. Thank you.
Thanks, Pepe. I was just about to say that Pepe has also signed up to be a volunteer this year. So thank you so much, Pepe, for that. Anyone else would like to?
Ms. Hema,
Yes.
there's a couple of questions on the same context. For example, is there any specific suggestions for us to approach the children, or like, would you share materials on effective ways of being a reading coach?
Yes, we will definitely share all this. In fact, we are planning to have our first training session sometime in the next week. Tarani will send out the details, and I understand that it's impossible to find a common time for 105 people. We have 105 volunteers, so it's impossible to find a common time. We will try to have it on a late evening. Again, I apologize, for this awkward times like a Sunday morning, late evening, but that's probably the time where we can get most people to come in. But we will always have recorded sessions that you can watch afterwards should you not be able to attend. So we will share some tips on speaking to parents. I know a lot of people also ask Tarani about how do we speak to the parents, how do we talk to the child, materials on teaching reading. We will do training on this. We will have training on this, and we will also share all the materials with the volunteers. Nothing else? Okay. Just final round of call. If anybody wants to say anything. Screen 2. No, just. Can you see 1, 1, 2? That blue arrow, yeah.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. I'm Brenda, and I'm actually a first-time volunteer for this project. And I'm just glad to say that I'm glad to be a part of this journey. I actually found out about this project through, I think, Instagram. I think there was this sponsored post promoting the project, and I was quite interested in it. I was fascinated by it. So I visited Taylor's website, and then I read the whole thing. And when I thought about it, I just decided to sign up instantly because firstly, actually, I'm going to be my last semester, for the March to July semester. And I knew that things would get busy for me, but then But then because I have the knowledge, I can read and write in English and BM. And so I thought, why not I pass down that knowledge to other kids who do not have the privilege of being able to read. And another thing is that I wanted to experience teaching for myself. You know, I never really had the opportunity before to really teach someone. And growing up, I was privileged to have a lot of teachers and educators who really did their best, who were really dedicated in passing down advice, in passing down their wisdom in any kind of subject matter, in any subject area. You know, throughout my high school, throughout my college, and even in university now, I'm glad to say that there were a lot of educators who inspired me along the way. And I just thought that, oh, there's this project. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to be in their shoes, to really experience how teaching is like, you know. So I'm really glad to be a volunteer for this project, and I really look forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brenda. It usually, in my experience, it usually takes just one person to believe in a child, and to say, well, no, you're not stupid. You just haven't been given the opportunities, the same opportunities as other people. And I believe in you, and we can do this together. Sadly, many children don't have that one person to tell them this. So I really hope that we can be that one person to the child who believes in that child and say, hey, let's do this together. You know, we can do this, right? So with that, thank you ever so much again for coming in, spending your Sunday morning with us. I know it's difficult. I know we all have a lot of things to do. So I really, really appreciate all of you joining today. So thank you ever so much. You can see our email there. Please also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And Tarani will be sending out emails soonish on details about, more details of the project, the child that you'll be working with, as well as training. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday, whatever that's remaining of it. Thank you. Bye-bye.